Hi, everybody. We are starting Perkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, Chapter 1, Mishnah 1. Moses received the Torah on Sinai and handed it down to Joshua, and Joshua to the elders to the prophets, and the prophets handed it down to the men of the great assembly. They said three things: be deliberate in judgment, raise up many disciples, and make a fence around the Torah. Now, why in an ethics book, Perkei Avot is an ethics book, are we talking about passing down the Torah? The point here is to learn that ethics, these ethics, our ethics, come directly from God. All religions have ethical books on how to behave. But here it is pointing out that our ethics are godly. They're handed down to us through the generations from God, from Sinai. So it is not moral relativism depending on the generation you live in. It is eternal ethics. Now, we are talking now about the men of the great assembly, the second piece to this. They said three things: be deliberate in judgment, raise up many disciples, and make a fence around the Torah. Now, you would think that sometimes Torah just talks about, legal stuff. But what we're learning is that Torah applies to life, just living. And it is practical. It's not just for the lawyers. It's not just for the people who are very studious. It's for all of us who are interested in living a good Jewish life. Now, let's tackle this statement. There are three parts to it. Be deliberate in judgment. Now, I'm a parent of 5 kids, thank God. And sometimes there are issues that come up between the kids. This one did this to me, this one did this to me, this one's not being nice, whatever it is. Everybody's heard all of it. But I think here we're learning, it says, be deliberate in judgment. And we can apply this here. Don't play favorites. When they come to you with their problems, don't play favorites. This one, doesn't generally cause trouble, so you just assume they're not the culprit at that moment. But don't play favorites. You should hear both sides. And don't make snap decisions or judgments. Because you need to be careful of your authority. The kids need to know you're creating trust. That the kids will trust you to do what's fair and to do what's right, even if the decision you make doesn't come out in their favor. Because when they see that you're deliberate in judgment and you're not making snap decisions and you're not playing favorites, they will trust you to do the right thing, even if it's not in their favor. Trust is important. Your authority needs to be protected. And that's how you do it, is being careful in judgment. Next, raise up many students. Your kids are your students. They're watching you all the time. Now, your job as a parent, is to raise them properly. Make sure that, they do things the right way. They're polite. They respect their elders. They respect, their teachers. But as Jewish parents, we have more than that to do. We want them to be proud Jews. We want to raise proud Jews. Now, in order to make them proud Jews, we have to give them a solid Jewish education. It's hard to be a proud Jew when you don't know that you're coming from an amazing people that have accomplished so much. I hate the victim mentality, and a lot of bad things have happened to us over the thousands of years in exile, but that's not who we are. We're doers. We accomplish. We're successful. We start with nothing and come out on top through hard work. And our history is full of so many amazing things, thank God. Now, it's hard to be proud of being Jewish when we don't know about these exciting accomplishments. So it's our job as parents to teach our kids about how wonderful it is to be part of the Jewish people. Now, you can do that through day camp. You know, if you kids go to public school, day camp is amazing. Or Jewish camp, doesn't have to be a day camp, could be overnight camp, whatever it is. Be around other Jewish kids. Jewish schools, day schools, afternoon schools. Now, and social groups, you know, BBYO, USY, NIFTY, Chabad, there's NCSY. All of these groups are so important that your Jewish kid has Jewish friends. You know, it's a crazy world. You need a social network to be a part of, to have strength in numbers, especially when you're a kid or a teenager. You need strength in numbers. Your friends are your buddies. And it's very important to have that foundation. Now, the third piece of this is to make a fence around the Torah. Now, this is about priorities as a parent. Judaism, if you want to raise proud Jewish kids, needs to be part of your priority system in your home. You can't depend on the schools to give it over. You need to strengthen it at home. Judaism is really a home religion. The synagogue is there, but really it's all about the home. So it's about making Judaism a priority in your home. Now, a great place to start is Friday night dinner, Shabbat dinner, is everybody gets together and you have time as a family that you may not have normally. But it's not so simple. Parents have to be present. It's not enough to show up in your body, with your body, just your body showing up and eating dinner. You also have to be there and be mindful. Put away the phone. If the kids feel like your phone is your priority rather than the Shabbat dinner, they're not going to feel that Shabbat dinner is as important as your phone. And they watch everything, children. You are the star of their life. And you have to realize you're a role model for that. If you want them to take Shabbat dinner seriously, you have to take it seriously. Also, Shabbat morning services. If that's something you can incorporate into your life, that's fantastic, because it gives more meaning to the day. But if you're going to expect them to show up to Saturday morning services, Shabbat services, you also have to show up to Shabbat services, and you can't set up appointments and meetings and coffee dates for Saturday morning, because your kids will see that that's your priority and not Shabbat morning services. So as much pressure as that is, you have to decide what your priorities are. And if you want proud Jewish kids, you gotta emulate. Your actions have to match your words, and because they see when they don't. Now, I'm not saying this is easy, but the struggle is important. And even if the kids see you struggling, that's okay, because they're struggling too, and you can struggle together, but they see that you're trying. And you say, you know what? Shabbat dinner is important to me, and I know that this phone is driving me crazy. I'm going to put it aside as best I can, and my attention is with you. And they will so appreciate that time, because in this crazy world, we're all plugged in all the time, and we have very little face-to-face time these days. But they will appreciate, and they will appreciate that you put that phone aside and that there is a struggle for you. And they can see that you win the struggle, and they can win the struggle too. We're role models. So this Mishnah is not just for judges and teachers and rabbis. This Mishnah of be deliberate in judgment, raise many disciples, and make a fence around the Torah is for everyone. For everyone. And I'm just giving you from a parent's perspective. But there's so much here, and this is also Torah. How to live a Jewish life is also Torah. So I hope everyone has a great Shabbat, and think about how you can incorporate Judaism into your everyday life. Thank you for joining me. Take care.